I'm not in, believe it or not, I'm not into UFOs. I don't follow stories or,
Even after your experiences?
No, I'm fascinated with the technology.
In the world of UFO mysteries, Bob Lazar is a name that stirs whispers and debates. Claiming insider knowledge of Area 51 and alien tech, he's either revealing government secrets or spinning tales.
Specific claim that he made. And that claim is that he worked at a place just south of Area 51. He called it S4.
But as new testimonies emerge, the line between fact and fiction blurs. Are Lazar's revelations our window to otherworldly truths? And if so, what else lurks in the universe? Have you seen the skies lately? Something's up. And we are not talking about airplanes or shooting stars. The last few years have seen a spike in some pretty mysterious stuff flying up there. UFOs, unidentified flying objects, have been popping up all over, leaving many of us scratching our heads. You've probably heard whispers, but let's dive into the juicy details. Back in 2021, the US government spilled the beans on a few intriguing encounters between the military and these odd objects. Some of the footage they shared? Mind-blowing. These UFOs were dancing in the air in ways that would make any pilot green with envy. Speaking of numbers, guess how many UFO sightings were reported in 2023? A whopping 510, according to the bigwigs at the US National Intelligence Office. What's wilder? Nearly half of these sightings came from the Middle East, with most witnesses talking about high-speed, triangle-shaped crafts. Oh, and there's a declassified video floating around of a UFO gliding over the Persian Gulf. The National UFO Reporting Center, or NUFORC for short, a group of dedicated skywatchers, pinned down over 5,000 UFO reports in 2022. Now, that's not their record high. They once logged 8,800 in 2014, but it's still a lot of mystery up in the air. But that's not the only secret keeping the scientists up at night. In the heart of Nevada lies a secret. There's a place so hush-hush it feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. This is Area 51, the USA's most mysterious Air Force base. Now, if you're thinking, it's just another military base, you are in for a terrifying surprise. Legend has it that back in 1947, something out of this world crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. Now, you'd think they'd be keeping something that big in Roswell, right? Nope. Rumor has it that this celestial object, believed by many to be an extraterrestrial ship, was whisked away to none other than Area 51. Why? The whispers in dark corners say it was all for reverse engineering. That's right, they wanted to crack open this cosmic can of worms and see what made it tick. And the mysteries don't stop there. Some say that Area 51 isn't just a garage for tinkering with otherworldly tech. Nope, it's more like an otherworldly cafe, where humans and aliens sip on space tea, exchange their intergalactic 2 cents, maybe, just maybe, conduct some far-out experiments. But here's the catch. The US government? They are zip-tight. They haven't confirmed any of these eyebrow-raising tales. The only thing we know for sure is that Area 51 is off of the public's radar. Try getting close, and you'll meet some very stern guards telling you to make a U-turn. Now, here's where it gets even juicier. Enter Bob Lazar. This man steps into the spotlight, and suddenly he's claiming there's a lot more beneath the surface of Area 51 than just desert sand. His tales? Oh, they're enough to make you question everything you thought you knew. From Area 51 to flying saucers. So, Bob tells a story about being hired by this tech company EG&G. They had some cozy ties with the US government and were deep into top-secret stuff. He wasn't stationed directly at Area 51, but instead, he got his badge for a secretive spot called S4, nestled close to Papoose Lake. And before he even set foot in there, he had to swim through a sea of paperwork and sign promises that he wouldn't spill the beans. But Bob spills tales of not 1, not 2, but 9 saucer-like crafts, all parked like they were straight out of a galactic car showroom. He got up close and personal with one, dubbing it the Sport Model. Shiny, metallic, and roughly 30 feet wide, this wasn't your typical Sunday drive vehicle. Bob also dished out info on how these craft zoomed around. Forget petrol, they ran on something called Element 115. Back in Bob's day, no one had even heard of this stuff on Earth, but this element he claims was the magic juice powering these vessels, letting them zip around by bending gravity itself. Bob's narrative is wild, and it caught the eye of many, so much so that Netflix decided to dive deep into his claims in a documentary called Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. As per Bob, tucked away among these high-security files were dossiers that painted a vivid portrait of our extraterrestrial visitors. These otherworldly beings, often whispered about as the kids, and more popularly the Greys, weren't new tourists to our blue planet. According to hidden documents Bob chanced upon, these visitors hailed from a distant corner of the cosmos, a planet orbiting the Zeta Reticuli stars, and they've supposedly been dropping by not for decades, not for centuries, but for thousands of years. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, get this. These documents suggested that our alien neighbors tinkered with our DNA and had front row seats to some monumental chapters in human history. Concerned about what lurked in the shadows of his job and fearing for his safety, he made a bold move in 1989. Seeking the spotlight to protect himself, he roped in George Knapp, a sharp local journalist. Before you know it, Bob's hushed voice echoed through Las Vegas televisions, sharing a story many would scarcely believe. Yet, Bob's saga of audacity didn't stop at interviews. Eager to show some tangible proof, he brought friends for a sneak peek at the enigmatic test flights near the S4 facility. But as with any high-octane thriller, things went sideways. Before we get into the details and find out the credibility of his claims, let us talk about an important aspect of this discussion, something that might hold the key to life beyond Earth: Element 115. Ever heard of Element 115? Also known as Moscovium or Unapentium, it is whispered as the secret behind UFO propulsion, with the power to defy gravity itself. When poked with protons, it briefly morphs into its erratic cousin, Element 116, which spews out an antiproton, a particle with a dark side. Let these two meet in a regular proton, and you've got a cosmic firework that could potentially power a spaceship. But there's more. Rumor has it Element 115 can create waves that ripple through the fabric of space-time. Imagine a spaceship riding these waves, floating without engines, bending space for lightning-fast travel. However, as exciting as this sounds, we haven't got solid proof for any of this. Element 115 is elusive, hard to make, and even harder to study. Plus, spotting gravitational waves or these so-called warp fields, it's still a topic of debate. Element 115 is still a very rare and unstable element that has only been produced in very small amounts in laboratories. Now, coming back to the truth about Bob Lazar. The truth about Bob and UFOs. If anything that Bob has said is true, it means that there is a lot that the government is hiding from us. And those UFO sightings piling up just pull the threads even more. However, Bob's claims have been challenged by many. For instance, both MIT and Caltech shrugged and said, "Bob who?" when asked about the degrees he supposedly earned there. To make matters worse, he was convicted in 1990 for his involvement in a prostitution ring, and again in 2006 for selling illegal chemicals. Yet, while many cast doubt on Lazar's tales, an even bigger bombshell dropped on July 26, 2023. Congress held a hearing on UFOs, or as the cool government people like to say, unidentified aerial phenomena, aka the UAPs. This wasn't some tucked-away secretive meeting, it was a full-blown, open-to-the-public event. What got everyone talking was the release of these jaw-dropping videos. They showed these UAPs zipping around in ways our current tech and understanding of physics just can't explain. But the videos were just the tip of the iceberg. David Grush, once in the thick of US intelligence, spilled some major beans. He talked about a Pentagon project where they were apparently reverse engineering crashed UAPs. Grush even hinted that they might have some, let's say, non-human samples from a crash site. And whistleblowing? Yeah, he learned the hard way that it came with some heavy retaliation. Then there's David Fravor, a retired Navy big shot. He spoke about this eerie encounter back in 2004 with a tic-tac-looking object over the Pacific. No wings, no exhaust, just a mysterious object darting around, almost as if it was playing a game of tag. Ryan Graves, who used to fly Navy planes, told tales of UAPs he and his mates would see regularly for 2 straight years. These weren't your average flying saucers. They could break the sound barrier without so much as a sonic boom and pull stunts in the air that left pilots scratching their heads. After all the testimonies, Congress was buzzing like a beehive. Some were shouting cover-up, others were demanding deeper digs into these UAP mysteries. The Pentagon stood its ground, denying there was any hush-hush alien tech project. With all these tales and testimonies, we're left with a universe of questions. As we gaze at the stars, the line between reality and sci-fi seems blurrier than ever. Who knows what secrets the cosmos holds? Only time will tell. What do you think is the truth? Let us know in the comments section. See you in the next one.